happening now. Tehran braces for more demonstrations as opposition parties mourn protesters killed on Monday. And the government clamps down on reporters covering the mounting chaos. Lightning strikes hamper firefighters in northern Alberta. Tinder dry conditions are slowing progress near Fort McMurray, but forecasters predict rain this weekend. And hockey giant Guy Lafleur is back in court for sentencing today. He was found guilty of obstruction of justice last month after testifying during his son's bail hearing. The protesters in Iran are emboldened, you might say, by support from afar, including Canada. Farhang Farid is an Iranian-Canadian in Toronto. First, he helped encourage people in his homeland to vote. And now he's making sure the story they are authorizing or authoring on the streets is getting as wide an audience as possible. Farhang joins me now. Tell me about the way that your site started and sort of what it's morphed into.
Absolutely. We started the site with the idea that we want to encourage people to vote. Basically, we would get Iranians to promise that they would call their friends and family and just encourage them to vote and promote participation in the election. At the same time, we would get Iranians outside of Iran to kind of return this favor that they're doing on their behalf with a gift or a donation. The idea behind it was, it was all built on a basis of trust and, promising. And we thought it would work because we were all sharing the same goal, the democratic Iran. And our mission kind of changed overnight after the election. And we're here today. Our main mission now is to focus on getting the news out as well as distributing the news that we get out from Iran within the Iranian community as well as people inside Iran.
There are so many news networks, newspapers, etc., other mediums that have been turfed out because their visas ran out. So we're having some difficulty getting in touch with journalists. But this is where people on the ground can participate and give us a sense of what's happening. Now, your website is getting information out. How difficult is that proving to be?
It's been really difficult. I have to tell you, it's been a challenge. One of the main problems that we have is, most of the communication channels are pretty much blocked. Internet is really slow and to some extent useless. Cell phone networks go, they shut them down around 6 p.m. SMS. Our only way really to communicate is word of mouth and email. Email has proven to work. And the way that works is we are part of many different mailing lists and news groups, and we get the news from them, and then we kind of filter through the verified and unverified news, and we try to post them. And anything we post, we source them, make sure that there's a verified source behind it.
Yeah, because you know what? That's what I was going to ask you about. It's one of the difficulties, and I can share with you that as a network, we want to confirm our sources. We don't want to put pictures on the air for our viewers and say, this is Tehran or this is, Revolution Square, when we're not positive. So that's the difficulty in not having those trained journalists on the ground. Right. But you're taking that step, even though we're talking about citizen journalism, to try to source, to try to confirm.
Absolutely. And, we've come across news stories or pictures that, were old pictures, and we had to verify those and kind of, go from there. But, it is difficult. It's a hard task to find out what's real, what's not real. At the same time, we have some contacts in Iran that are tweeting on our site and getting the information out, and we sometimes verify their sources, and we kind of retweet their information out since we have more audience.
Yeah, this sounds like a full-time job, because not only are you informing foreigners and the Western world, if you will, but as I understand it, it's even difficult to get information from one province to another in Iran. What are you finding about that?
Absolutely, and that's again another one of the problems that we've been facing. We haven't received a lot of information from other provinces. Again, Iran being such a centralized, Tehran being such a centralized city, and all the services are kind of concentrated in Tehran. We rarely get news from outside of Tehran, but we've been trying hard. Our connections, our family, our friends, to get those stories out of there and distribute them around. And just to go back, it has been a full-time job. A lot of people have helped us in this. There's a couple of people in Toronto, and it's just been a group and teamwork.
One of the sources you probably don't have to confirm is your mother, because she's in Tehran. What is she telling you about the mood on the streets and as she walks the city?
It's what you hear on the news. It's unbelievable. It's the first time in 30 years that this is happening. People kind of taking onto the streets and just protesting without seeing an opposition really. Well, right now it's kind of cooled down where opposition is not really attacking them or anything. They're all in shock. They don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, at some point they were saying, oh, you know, tomorrow, in a week, everything is going to calm down. But it just keep coming back. So I don't know. It's been hard to get a hold of her, but I managed to finally land a call with her and talk to her.
I have one final question for you, and that is, an analyst that I was speaking with earlier this week said this is different from those protests of, 20, 30 years ago, because those were student protests, really, in '99, for example. This covers more age groups, diversity of socioeconomic status, people who aren't just, the students. Is that what you're finding from the people who are, part of your site?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We think there's a new generation of Iranian that are actually pushing this. People that are younger than me, people that their first meetings were online, and they're pushing this thing forward. The coverage that we're getting over the internet, and this whole idea about tweeting, emailing, this is just pushing this thing ahead. And it basically covers a wide range of people, from older, younger. They just all came together with this energy that was brought into this election.
Well, I wish you well, and I thank you for taking the time. Farhang Fareed joining us here in studio. And coming up, we are going to take a look at this story from an economic perspective. The Iranian Revolution 30 years ago shut down energy exports, leading to the oil shock of the 1980s. You might remember that. Marivel will join me to look at the chances of that happening again. That's coming up.